Have you or a loved one been injured by some fucknuggets, reckless driving, a tumble at your shitty job, or some other form of dumb shit outside of your control? Well, fear not, because today's episode is sponsored by a lawyer. Lone Star Injury Attorneys is an award-winning personal injury law firm that achieves maximum results for its injured clients. Max the Axe is not just a lawyer, but a hardcore Mises Caucus libertarian and also a big supporter of this show and all of our bullshit. Max is the best personal injury lawyer in Texas, but don't judge him by his occupation or location. Max is an avid defender of liberty and justice in whatever state you got fucked in. If you've been injured and your ass needs saving, go with the pros at Lone Star Injury Attorneys. Visit LoneStarInjuryAttorneys.com or Google Max the Axe. Consultations are free and you don't pay a single dime unless you win. Once again, go to LoneStarInjuryAttorneys.com and get your ass covered.
Some few of you may be living an existence of dissatisfaction, maybe even a sense of emptiness, a sense of longing, a yearning that doesn't seem to be filled, even though you may try with entertainment, sex, and drugs, though I have nothing against those. They don't fill that yearning. You may be waking up every day wanting more, but not knowing what it is that you want. It's those few of you that I'd like to address right now. This sense of longing, this sense of yearning, this sense of not being satisfied is really your loss of freedom. And it is freedom for which you yearn. And you have none in this government. A government of the American people which started out with the people being free and the government being our servants. It has become the government is free and secret and veiled in darkness, and it is the people that are the servants. You must see the truth of this, your yearning, your longings, your sense of dissatisfaction that cannot be filled with stuff, with cars, with money. No matter how much you have, that sense of dissatisfaction remains. Please, you have woken up to your reality. That is what you are feeling. Wake up a bit more and do something about it. Raise your voice. Thank you.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that.
What I call nastiness
I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves or possesses weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with that smoke! We are still here!
We have to say yes to social justice.
No, tomorrow. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Do you find yourself to be mad as hell? Are you feeling like you're not going to take it anymore? Are you down in the dumps? Well, I don't have the answers for you, but I too am displeased with some of the things that are happening in the world. So welcome to the place where we make fun of all those things and give you just a little bit of lightheartedness as the world burns together. And we're going to do that again today. I am joined, as always, by the late, great Dave Casey. Dave,
Different
how's
store,
it going?
same groceries, buddy. I'm doing great, man. Good to be here with you. This is
You're
my
like the
weekly
straight
White Bill.
version of Jack Casey.
Yes, exactly.
Like if
Let's,
Jack Casey were attracted to women, Dave Casey.
Let's get Gay Casey back in here sometime soon so we can
Get that
chat with him.
diversity up. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you, Dave?
I'm good, man. I'm this, like I said, this is my weekly white pill. I don't know why, because we talk about all the worst shit in the world, but it makes me feel better.
We
I think
talk
this is why
about all the
people pay for
darkness
therapy.
in a lighthearted manner. So, it's you do what you can in these trying times.
If I haven't told you lately, I appreciate the time. So
absolutely. And if anybody else has anything to offer in these trying times, you can do so at patreon.com/The System Is Down and join the Downers Club. People like Michael, Mark, Scott, Gerhardt, Maxwell, Meredith, Thought Offender, Jay something, Grumpy Gnome, Justin Savoy, Joey Ferguson, Bonnie Jeffers, Donald Villa, Zach Varnell, Alex W., Mike Stonehouse, Keith Compston, Vanzat Media, JRC, Javari, Craig DeCosta, Tim Brown, Nathan Sipes, Trenton Campbell, John Barnhouse, William Wells, and many more. If you'd like to get your name on that list and probably have it read incorrectly someday, go on over to patreon.com/The System Is Down, where you'll not only get your name read incorrectly, you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content, including not always weekly, getting more back to the weekly, actually. I crossed out the weekly a while ago during the trying times, and it's getting back to weekly, and I think we're doing an after party today. So get in there now, and you can join us as we talk about Steven Crowder's expose on BlackRock and pedophilia allegations, all sorts of fun things. Maybe there's a chance Keri Lake might get bumped back there because that news story is just too important for us to cover on this show. So if you want to get all the spicier, juicier things, go to patreon.com/The System Is Down and do that. Now, Dave,
dude,
it's been a week.
Yep. Staying regular. I'm really proud of you.
I know. I've been eating my fiber and my Wheaties and everything, keeping it regular, as we do around here. Lots has happened in the world, and we're just going to... I know that you're a little bit limited on time. We'll make do, but I want to get more concise and clean up this shit anyway. So let's just jump straight into it unless you have any opening remarks.
No, let's get to it, bud.
We will begin with a follow-up to something that we discussed last week. You remember the World Economic Forum was happening, and Javier Milei was given a speech in Austrian. And now, wait, it's not. What is it? Is it?
He's from Argentina.
Argentinian news. Now
he's an Austrian economist.
Sure, yes, that's the mix-up. The libertarian wires crossed there. But this came out. I haven't watched the whole thing, but this is the entire speech. It's not just the entire speech. It is AI replacing his voice with English so that English people can understand it. Do you have any issues with that right off the bat, Dave?
I want to say, yeah. I mean, immediately I was like, oh, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted for the past 100 pieces of content that people shared with me of his. Because I'm sorry, speak English. If you want me to watch, speak English.
Right.
So while I want to hate that this came out of Davos and the World Economic Forum and it has AI as its engine behind it, I appreciate it.
So it's giving the English translation, but it's not only translating his voice, it is translating his mouth. Watch.
The per capita GDP growth rate remains stable at around 0.02% annually. That is...
You got any problems with that, Dave?
I mean, it's making... First of all, they declared it, so we know that. I don't have any problem with this, but it makes me think, oh, okay, well, if this is what we get now, it's like you have no idea what's real and what's fake on television.
Yep.
And who knows how long.
Out of the World Economic Forum, no less. Last week we talked about how it was a little concerning that they would allow the supposed anti-World Economic Forum guy to just come and give his spiel, give his pitch to the people that he supposedly completely opposes. And now they're making it a lot easier for us to understand the words that he has to say. I mean, this is kind of a Stephen Hawking situation, too. How do we know exactly what he is saying? We didn't know when it was translated whether or not it was what he's saying. This doesn't make it any clearer that is exactly what he was saying. I'm not saying it's not what he's saying, and I'm sure somebody can confirm it pretty easily if they speak both languages or do some actual translation. But it's just, I don't know. Like you said, there's no way to tell what's real. There's no way to tell what this guy actually said or what have you. I don't know. If anybody has watched the entire thing, how hard would it be for them to just slightly alter one phrase and make it mean something completely different? I don't know. It's concerning.
Yeah, and maybe scrub the old footage there. By the way, we were in a strong minority of people in our camp who thought that there could be anything nefarious behind his speech.
Everybody was celebrating.
Celebrating. This is totally great. Libertarians rule. We have a victory. Yeah.
Yep.
Only me. I think it was like me and you. Maybe a couple other people were like, still feel right.
And even still, like, we're not the type to be like, if it's true, praise the words, certainly, but can you not see a little bit of a pause in this entire setup with the World Economic Forum bringing him on and then replacing his words with robots? I don't know. To me, there's a couple red flags there. Let me know, libertarians. Let's watch just a little bit of it, because I find just the mouth replacement to be the creepiest shit.
Of wealth that lifted 90% of the world's population out of poverty. We must never forget that by the year 1800, about 95% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty, while that number dropped to 5% by the year 2020, prior to the pandemic.
I don't know, man. I don't like it.
It's spooky,
I do, but I don't. I agree with you. Like, I would prefer to listen to it this way, but I trust it less being able to listen to it this way. So I'm torn.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I still have to look. He gave a speech and he gave it in Spanish, and I'm sure there's record of that. So like you said, you could go back and you could verify that. That would be hard to sneak past. But the greater concern would be that, if they just did that for your entertainment and for your listening,
because they really want you to know what this guy had to say.
Right. Then how many hundreds of times has this been done and you just had no idea?
Speaking of people whose likeness was artificially swapped with artificial intelligence, robots taking over all of our media. This is another follow-up to last week. AI version of Ron DeSantis giving his farewell address to his presidential run.
United States Navy. Greetings from Florida. The warmth of being home is a reminder why I've chosen public service. From joining the United States Navy and serving in Iraq, to representing the people in the U.S. Congress, and now serving as governor of Florida.
Now, I'm mostly joking about the deepfake, but he's got that personality just off the bat when he's acting in any way. He feels like a robot. But you know, the main thing that I noticed about this video is that I've never in the last year and a half seen Ron DeSantis this enthusiastic and happy about anything.
Yes.
There wasn't a single thing on his campaign where he looked this joyful until he's like, fuck, thank God this is over. So
exactly. That is the body language he's giving off, dude. He's giddy. He's giddy that he gets to say this. And he's
giddy that he gets to go back to semi-normal life.
Yes. And that we've talked about it before, but he looked like he was pushed into this. His wife, Casey DeSantis, looks like kind of like an iron box style. Like, she looks like she likes the political shit, and I imagine she was probably cracking the whip on some stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure he's got his fair share of handlers, but yeah, he looks very excited to deliver this last canned message to the people.
Mm-hmm. So Ron DeSantis dropped out right before New Hampshire. He announced as of last week that he wasn't going to be in New Hampshire, which was, pretty clear indication that he was bailing to begin with. But the dude spent like millions and millions of dollars on this campaign for it to end with this.
Reminds me why I decided to run for president, to fight for those who've been forgotten in this country. This is America's time for choosing. We can choose to allow a border invasion, or we can choose to stop it. We can choose reckless borrowing and spending, or we can choose to limit government and lower inflation. Accountability to government, regain sovereignty at our border, and restore sanity to our society.
Let's get to the Trump part.
Politicians to serve
so he drops out.
Talk is cheap.
Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. From the guy who was propped up by Trump and gained his entire political career from Trump, and then decided to run against Trump, and then said that Trump was scared to debate and all of this and that, and he was the anti-Trump guy, and then he, as politicians do, bails and immediately does the obvious thing, which is endorsing Trump. So he, I don't know, like, yeah, you did some good things as governor, and now, like, what? this happens all the time. We know it does. Like Bernie Sanders drops out and endorses Biden, and then people are still like, yeah, Bernie Sanders is a great guy, or Ron DeSantis is a great guy. It's like, even if you liked Joe Biden or you liked Donald Trump and you like that they're endorsing these people, the fact that they flipped from this is a bad person to this is the person who we must vote for, doesn't that tell you enough about any of these folks?
It really should. These pledges too. Oh, do you pledge to support the candidate no matter who it is? And they all do it too.
Right.
Yeah,
Libertarians do it too.
Libertarians do it too. I can't believe I wasn't going to mention that. I wasn't going to throw the LP into the mix, but yeah, we LARP over here and we do the same thing when you absolutely should not. Yeah. There are definitely people running for the GOP presidential nomination as well, the LP, that you should not vote for.
Do you pledge that you will endorse Bill Weld when he becomes the inevitable candidate? Like, no, I do not.
I don't.
And if you did, if that is your stance, that you will just endorse whoever is running for the spot, then why are you running for the spot? Like, if that's really your opinion, that just anybody who gets up there, they should get your vote, then what are you doing there?
I think, bro, the donor class just goes, hey, they come up to Ron DeSantis and they go, we've noticed that you're popular amongst GOP voters. Run. You're running now. Like, you're the guy, you're running. And, oh, okay, I guess I will. You know, he kind of gave it away in here. Oh, I just love public service so much. I loved going to Harvard and Yale and the Navy. And then I worked at Guantanamo. And then I was a congressman and I was a governor. So I'm obviously a conservative, folk hero. And I just can't get enough of public service. So.
Yep. We're going to speed him up, see what else he has to say.
The decline of this nation requires leadership that delivers big results for the people we are elected to serve. I have a record of leading with conviction, championing an agenda marked by bold colors, delivering on my promises, and defeating the people who are responsible for our nation's decline. That is the type of leadership we need for all of America. Now, over the past many months, Casey and I have traveled across the country to deliver a message of hope that decline is a choice and that we can, in fact, succeed again as a nation. Nobody worked harder, and we left it all out on the field. Now, following our second place,
nobody worked harder, and nobody failed more miserably than we did.
Liberated on the way forward.
Nobody spent more money. Nobody blew more money on such a big waste of time.
I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory. Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. I'm proud to have delivered on 100% of my promises, and I will not stop now. It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with
You've been attacking him. Like, even in lawfare, he didn't support Donald Trump when they raided his home and all that shit. So, motherfucker, that was you.
Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci, Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed-over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents. The days of putting Americans last, of kowtowing to large corporations, of caving to woke ideology are over. I thank all of our passionate supporters who have stood by us through it all. That we had people volunteer to come to Iowa in the middle of a blizzard to knock on doors and make phone calls touched us dearly. No candidate had more thrown at him, but no candidate had so many committed volunteers and staff. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Casey, and our kids, Madison, Mason, and Mamie. Casey's gone far above...
I'm judging you.
Is it wrong to judge someone for the names of their children?
Just did.
Yeah. I'm going to do it silently.
On her support for our campaign and for our cause. She's not only a great wife and mother, she's a great American who cares deeply about the future of the country that our kids will inherit. Our kids have seen and done a lot on the trail, from playing on the famed Field of Dreams baseball site in Iowa to making their first snowman in New Hampshire.
Who cares? To attending Bohemian Grove and watching the mock sacrifices.
Are one of the reasons we fight so hard for what we believe in. Winston Churchill once remarked that success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. Well,
that quote apparently was not in fact a quote from Winston Churchill, but it has been often misattributed to Winston Churchill, and it was actually taken from a Budweiser ad from the 80s or 90s.
Clydesdales, bro.
Just on your way out, one last message. Here's a message from Budweiser. Failure is not final or whatever the fuck, but those boot picks live on forever, my friend.
Pain has ended. The mission continues. Down here in Florida, we will continue to show the country how to lead. Thank you, and God bless.
Gross.
He's so happy it's over. He's so happy.
Good for him. Like, it's the best thing that's happened to him in at least a few years. But it does make me want to give a little bit of a flashback of our own to a section from those 2 years.
I've got a long last name, European name, Steinhauser. There's been some confusion over your last name and the pronunciation. And I'm just wondering, to correct the record, what is it?
Oh, that's ridiculous, these stupid things. Listen, the way to pronounce my last name, Winner.
Yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations, Winner. You did it. You did it. You spent more than everybody else and ended up in the same spot.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good way to spin it. It's like, I don't know what. We had all the money, we had all the supporters, and we still lost big.
Yeah, that means we did really well or something. Now,
Yikes.
We are going to spend a lot of... I was telling you, Dave, before the show that I didn't intend to talk that much about the New Hampshire primary because, quite frankly, who gives a shit at this point, especially after the Iowa caucusing and Donald Trump being announced.
Your boy Vermin Supreme was there, so you're really excited about it?
No spoilers, Dave. I'm not gonna lie. That was one of the things that pushed me over the edge. I was like, all right, we got some fun shit to talk about too, not just like fucking Republicans arguing with Republicans and bribing each other out of being elitists or whatever. But yeah, enough stuff did come out throughout the night that I was like, yeah, we're gonna focus mostly on that. It'll mostly be on the interesting things and the takeaways that I had. Did you watch any of the primary shit? There wasn't much, but did you pay attention to it while it was happening?
Nope. I caught a couple clips, but I'm already in Trump has it in the bag mode where they're going to put him in jail. One or the other. He's going to be president, or they're something bad.
Do you think at this point that they will put him in jail? Because I wonder. He's winning, he's dominating. Is it that he's winning and dominating, so it'll be an even bigger clusterfuck when they do put him in jail, or is he just legitimately winning and dominating?
Maybe that could be a thing where the process through which we go to, I don't know, maybe it'll undo some kind of part of our process to make a felon a president, or to cause some kind of, maybe they just want civil unrest, imagine that if they were no, we know he's your guy, we know that the majority of the people want him to be president, but no,
lock him up.
Yeah, that could do something real bad. And that the state all they're doing is poking you with a stick to get you to try and do something violent. That's the whole thing. And they would love for you to get cheeky.
They would love for you to join the Patriot Front, the very real white supremacist group that we'll get to later. But Chris O.
First you get the khakis.
Yes, of course. Chris O. says, fake super chat. Did you see Crystal Ball's retarded take on Milley's speech? She claimed his comments supported Davos crowd. Maybe I'm giving her too much cred, but I have to think it was trolling. I did not. So that's it for that. But that does remind me, if you have a fake super chat, put fake super chat in all caps if you have something that you would like us to read and potentially make fun of you for. But no, I did not catch Crystal Ball's anything. What do you think? So she claimed that his comments were in support of the Davos crowd. I'm not. I would have to see what she said because that makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, put fake super chat in all caps. We'll try and read them when we can. YouTube doesn't like you. They hate us, and they don't let us take your money. So patreon.com/the system is down if you want to support, and put fake super chat in all caps, and we will try to get you to your fake super chats as we go. Now getting more into the New Hampshire primary. Leading up to it, there were some accusations that came out against the clear frontrunner of the Republican primary, Nikki Haley. And she was called out on NBC about it, and you'll never guess what her. So there's allegations about an old voting record, and they're saying, "Hey, are you a racist?" Basically, the typical thing that you ask presidential candidates, just are you a racist? And here's what Nikki Haley had to say.
The only Indian family in our small southern town. I was teased every day for being brown. So anyone that wants to question it can go back and look at what I've said on how hard it was to grow up in the Deep South as a brown girl. Anybody can look at my record and see when Walter Scott was shot down by a dirty cop, how I made sure that the Walter Scott family didn't suffer because we put the first body camera bill in the country in place. Anybody can look at the fact that when we had 9 amazing souls die in Mother Emanuel Church, I did something that no Republican or Democrat ever wanted to touch, which was call for the Confederate flag to come down because it would take 2/3 of the House and Senate and was an impossible feat. I don't know what you're implying with that, but what I will tell you is saying that I had black friends is a source of pride. Saying that I had white friends is a source of pride. If you want to know what it was like growing up, I was disqualified from a beauty pageant because I wasn't white or black, because they didn't know where to put me.
Bullshit.
So look, I know the hardships, the pain that come with racism. It's the reason that I fight bullies every day when it comes to racism, anti-Semitism, or hate, and I always will. If I didn't mention slavery on that day, it's because that's an automatic. There's always been, the Civil War's always been.
Nikki
I didn't
Haley
bring up
would.
slavery because you know I'm black.
That's pretty much or what she's going with. Nikki Haley would go on to say she went on Charlemagne the God's Breakfast Club podcast, and she would say to him, if you're having trouble figuring out whether you vote for Trump or me, then you ain't brown. And it was received with mixed reviews, but shocking for me to find out. I had no idea that very white woman Nikki Haley was brown and suffered all the discrimination on a daily basis in school, picked on daily. Every day. This very brown woman here was frequently just removed from beauty pageants for not being white or black enough. So even the black people had it better than Nikki Haley, because apparently there were two pageants, white and black pageants, and she was right there in the middle with her very brown self, unable to qualify for either of these bigoted communities.
Oh, man. Bro, I bet you know, she grew up in the 80s of South Carolina, so I'm willing to bet she saw some racism, but was never the victim of it, ever.
Sure.
You know, that's probably,
and even give her the benefit of the doubt that she was a little darker when she was younger. I've seen the childhood pictures, and she wasn't. But even if she was, and she got picked on once for not being the perfect shade of whatever, you cannot tell me that Nikki Haley on a daily basis was dealing with the discrimination of racism.
Oh, maybe she was picked on because she was chubby. So she's lying with statistics. She used to be chubby. So maybe she technically is a brown girl, and she technically did get picked on, but it was probably because she was chubby, not brown. That's my guess.
That could be it. Or as Kate Paris says, fake super chat, her face is so punchable. Said beauty pageant disqualified her for being too old to enter. Nikki Haley's always been old. Now, speaking of old, and we'll come back to Nikki Haley later, don't y'all worry. We've got a through line here somewhere. But speaking of too old, wait. No, before we do this, we gotta. This is in mention of the late, great, and honorable, noble Joseph Robinette Biden. So that makes it one of these.
And Corn Pop was a bigger big shot. Nazi fags. You ain't black.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
That's right. It's I've got this cough that's not going away. It's remembering Biden, where we remember the things that Biden said because God knows that he has not a clue of the things that he said. And this is this week's my favorite Biden clip of the week, where he made, I believe, a very stern and veiled threat to Donald Trump.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Shit. He just threw down the gauntlet, yo.
Yeah.
You know. Guessing. And listen to the SEALs just applaud whatever the fuck he just said. Like, didn't matter what he said, as long as there was a stern period at the end of that quote-unquote sentence, we cheer, because that's what we do. Let's watch again.
Mm-hmm. We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Yeah.
So the script was, we're going to teach Donald Trump a lesson. Don't mess with the men and women of America. If I can't get the last part, you have any ideas?
Well, I don't. I'm with Tim Pool on this, where I don't like to be the media who interprets the words of the president. I would rather be able to just repeat them rather than guessing what the guy is saying. But let's give it a shot.
Don't mess with the men in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Unless you want to get a benefit, don't mess with the best guess. And this is giving way too much credit. Don't mess with the men and women of America unless you want to get a benefit. So, win-win,
I do want
I guess. Benefit. Yeah, I'm not sure what the threat is exactly. Is it like a better tax breaks, or like what is the benefit of messing with the men and women of America? I guess he would be the one to know, him and his son. But yeah, that's our president.
Terrifying, dude. Like, as citizens like us point and go, holy shit, this is dangerous. The majority of the people don't do that. And I gotta think, like, world leaders are seeing that.
Yeah.
The G8, the G20, these guys meet all the time. They can't possibly, like, I don't know. I'm not going to be what's China up to? But like, China's probably, like, I imagine just trying to doing whatever they could do right now while there's a fucking...
Any world leader could take this guy in a fist fight. Like, if that's what we were talking about here. Or even like a trivia challenge based on, I don't know, colors and shapes. Like, this guy has nothing to offer, and yet we have a lot of media that has been saying that Donald Trump, even Keri Lake came out, which we'll get to later, in her victory/defeat speech of last night. And I mean, she's playing the Donald Trump is mentally ill fit to be president, and he's just as bad, if not worse, than Biden, basically. It's like,
all right, I have a theory. I'm trying to think like how we could get to a point like this where we're just like the number one guy in charge is like a guy like Biden. So here's what I've got, and it's not all together, so bear with me. But if presidents have to be sociopaths, which they do, it's a prerequisite. You have to be a fucking killer. I think it also probably helps to be 88 years old, deteriorating mentally and physically, both for your own, like, if you're losing it up top, right? Like, your conscience is even further away. Biden has proven himself to like lack conscience and, all throughout his whole life, and he lacks character, and he'll lie and cheat and, proven himself that way.
Yeah.
But if you're this gone and you're this close to knocking on death's door, then you're probably willing to do even more because like you just don't have anything to live for, and you're already such a piece of shit. Exactly.
What's the dollar amount? It doesn't matter to me. It'll just affect my shitty ass kids that I don't care about. So, yeah. Speaking of, we're going to merge worlds here with Biden and AI, because leading up to the New Hampshire primary, a call went out from what seemed to be Joe Biden. Here's what that sounded like.
We know the value of voting Democratic when our votes count. It's important that you save your vote for the November election. We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket. Voting this Tuesday only enables the Republicans in their quest to elect Donald Trump again. Your vote makes a difference in November, not this Tuesday. If you would like to be removed from future calls, please press 2.
You couldn't get anybody else to do that, the fucking president? If you'd like to get removed from this, text stop.
It wasn't him. That wasn't him. That was AI.
Really?
Yeah. Confirmed.
Even
AI.
worse.
AI.
Wow.
The White House, allegedly the White House, a bunch of people were reporting that they were getting this call from what sounded like it was supposed to be Joe Biden. It also very strongly appears to be AI of Joe Biden. Probably what gave it away is that you can understand the words he's saying, and it doesn't sound like this.
Don't mess with the men in America unless you want to get the benefit.
So that gave it away a little bit, but it also so this thing went out, and it was encouraging Democrats not to vote. Now, it was announced, I think, last year that Joe Biden would not be on the ballot because the Democrats were waiting until, what is it, North Carolina? I don't remember. It's Nevada, maybe? One of the next ones, that the DNC was not going to take part in any sort of primary until one of the South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere over there. So Joe Biden was on the ballot, and they did a write-in campaign for Joe Biden. And he did end up winning, but there were some other fun competitors that we'd get to. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because so Joe Biden wasn't on the ballot, and they sent out this robot call pretending to be Joe Biden, telling people not to vote, urging Democrat voters not to vote. Just keep that in mind as we go through some of the other things that we're going to get to here. But first, here is Karine Jean-Pierre explaining why, I don't know, Transformer Biden made this call.
And there is a robocall circulating in New Hampshire that uses what appears to be fake audio of President Biden's voice, and acknowledging that's obviously a campaign issue and that the campaign itself has spoken to it. Can you nonetheless talk about the concerns that the White House has about the president's likeness being used in this false manner?
So, look, as you just stated, because I always have to say that at the top, it's a robocall for an upcoming election, 2024, obviously. So I just want to be careful in that comment. But that call was indeed fake and not recorded by the president. I can confirm that. And so I just want to be really careful since it doesn't, it is a primary election. It is a campaign. Don't want to speak too much about that. Look, more broadly, as we talk about deep
South
fakes,
Carolina, by the way. It's coming up.
The president has been clear that there are risks associated with deepfakes. Fake images and misinformation can be exacerbated by emerging technologies, and that's why this president has directed the Department of Commerce through the AI Safety Institute at NIST to help develop clear watermarking and content standards. So that's
But
important.
you didn't do it. The president has commented and expressed concern about deep fakes used in politics, and then we decided to use it to tell people not to vote. Don't be alarmed, because we intend on putting watermarks on these someday so people know that it's not really the president calling them. Okay, now why'd you do it though?
Bro, you can do anything you want in Washington as long as you express concern.
Right. We've expressed concern with the thing that we just did, and that's all the explanation that we need. And yeah, that she expresses concern with AI being involved in politics, which I mean, I've expressed concern with DeSantis using fake images, with now Javier Milei being dubbed over. Just seems like there's a lot of negative potential in politics when you start faking voices, and at any point our president could be dead and we wouldn't know it, and he would still be making phone calls trying to subvert the will of the voters in primary elections. But, to each their own. We're going to jump around a little bit because there's a breaking story as of the last couple days that I would imagine, really concern Joe Biden, because it involves the greatest scourge to American democracy, which is, of course, white supremacy. And it happened in Manhattan. There was this Patriot Front rally, or the march, or parade. Everybody donned their typical khakis. They picked up their "America is not for sale" sign. Wait, was there something else in there? Just Patriot Front on the end? Yeah. America is not for sale. They marched in unison, escorted by police. Oh, it said something about Zionists, so we're going to throw that in there, because everybody knows that anti-Zionists are white supremacists. So if you see these two things, they might as well be seeing Adolf Hitler. Now, if you see a parade of them marching very perfectly down the road, escorted by police officers, you should know that there's nothing out of the ordinary here. You should definitely be alarmed, but this is just reality now. White supremacy parades. There they go. About, I don't know, what would you say, 30 to 40?
Yeah.
Guys, all same height, same stature, pretty physically fit, as Trump supporters are known to be. Just taking the escalator. They're taking the bus. Not sure which one of them put out the video blog to alert the media to this, but
right.
What do you think, Dave? do we have cause for concern with this new scourge that is sweeping the nation?
Yes, you absolutely do, because they're here to fucking frame you and me. So we absolutely should be concerned. The general public should not be concerned that Patriot Front is going to cause any kind of like harm to anybody, because I mean, everybody knows the good news about those guys is that it seems like everybody is just yelling Fed, Fed, Fed. Like nobody outside of
everybody
our camp, anywhere
except
is
for
wearing
the
this.
media has a lot to say about Patriot Front. Like, have you noticed, like, how much did we crack down and still continue to crack down on January 6th protesters, but for some reason this anti-Zionist white supremacy hate group who commits the heinous act of walking through a mall, nobody's like pulling down their masks or digging into their backgrounds or doing all the typical autistic journalist smear campaigns. It's just these guys are here, deal with it, be afraid, and yeah, back to this, Dave.
Look, man, there's so many tells with these guys. Like historically, right? Like groups like this that want attention, like you said, you know, it's weird. Oh, you put this out on social media, so you want attention. You want people to see what you're doing. But what's consistent is you don't want anybody to see anything about you. Yeah. Like no, your eye color, no tattoos, what your hair look like, nothing. You want to keep that all, because that's exactly like the thinking of a Fed, right? That's the way that you get identified. That's the way you can tell that this is an inside job. Yep. So none of them want to take credit for anything, but that is a hallmark of groups that, you know, that participate like this. Take the Mises Caucus, right? Like you've seen me for 6 years yelling with no mask on my face.
Fed.
What this is?
They're feds. Yeah.
Right. Well, I just mean, like, if you're proud of something, if you think that something's worthwhile, you're usually willing to go talk to anybody, debate anybody, put me on any channel and blast
my face. A real racist
face.
Probably isn't going to be that ashamed to let you know.
No, of course not.
Just ask the Mises Caucus.
Good. You can find them everywhere, right? They'll talk to you talk your head off about that. But I just mean, yeah, just clean khakis, all the equipment in the world. I can tell you, it's organizing people is so tough.
Yeah.
Forget the monetary part. Oh, like how many white supremacists do you think live in New York or the surrounding? Dude, if they are, they're out in like the rural fucking sticks, you know. White power, that kind of, but you're not,
or they're running through the tunnels.
Right, exactly. But we need to all go to New York, so we need to deliver this message to people that will not respond positively to it. You know, you're not going to grow the Patriot Front in Manhattan. That's just it's so dumb.
It's so fake.
I hate this street theater. Yeah.
It's so fake, and we've got one more clip of the white supremacist terrorist organizations as they took to the streets in actually New Hampshire, bringing it back to that. So here's what happened with this white supremacy group.
In New Hampshire, the New Hampshire primary, and we're learning more about a movement to attract more libertarians to the Granite State. Lawrence spoke to the executive director of the Free State Project and Maine State Senator Eric
Isn't he?
Brecke.
If you love liberty...
To be clear, to anybody who's not familiar, the Free State Project is not a white supremacist organization. That was, in fact, a joke and a transition into our friends here who got some media coverage around the New Hampshire primary. So
you find that no matter where you are, there's a certain gravity to New Hampshire, and you find yourself drawn there. It's the freest state in America, no income tax, no sales tax, Second Amendment rights, school choice.
So far, the Free State Project has collected over 20,000 signatures from people pledging to move to New Hampshire.
That's what it takes, pledging to move. Well, good for you guys, getting a little bit of media attention around the rest of the chaos. I don't have too much on that. I just thought it was worth a share that they were getting some shouts.
I tease Eric Brecke. That's a serious upgrade, good move. That's good rebranding for the big flub with Jeremy Kauffman. I wish you guys Godspeed. Make that thing cool.
Yeah. They reached out to me recently and asked if Eric could come on. I should have him on soon. We should give him our mind. Maybe we'll have him and Jeremy Kauffman do a debate. Just kidding, unless you guys want to, in which case I'm not kidding at all. Now, in the New Hampshire primaries, before we get too deep into this, too much deeper into this, I do have to run another ad, so I don't really have a great place to do it. So here's...
Now sounds good.
Here's that.
We live in a new age, and it's time for us to upgrade.
are tinfoil hats. Operation Tinfoil is a freedom-focused small business and trusted sponsor of this show. Their super comfortable new line of beanies and baseball caps will not only crown your skull in style, but each of these dome defenders is lined with a silver mesh that blocks up to 99% of EMF radiation from cell phone towers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and yes, even 5G. We don't know what EMF radiation does to the brain long term, but neither do they, so don't be their guinea pig and don't wait around to find out. Get your stylish tinfoil hat of the future today at gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order. Again, that's gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order.
Flawless transition, and we're back. Jumping back into it. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. wins the New Hampshire Democratic primary. So there was still a primary, even though they said that the DNC wasn't going to take part in a primary and they weren't going to do the debates and all that shit. First off, what do you think the reason was for them saying Joe Biden's not going to take part in any of these major events that typically are staples for politics? Why did they want to keep Joe Biden off this ballot, do you think, Dave?
Because you're probably giving too much away. And some of these events, like Iowa caucus, there's the first in the nation, New Hampshire primary. Like, some of this isn't under the full control of the federal regime, like the regime. You know what I mean? Like, there's some X factors, and like New Hampshire has an open primary. Democrats swarmed that shit, so you can't really. Yeah. So I think maybe, wouldn't that have been embarrassing if like Joe Exotic or Vermin Supreme got 15% to Joe Biden's 30%? That wouldn't look good.
Or
probably
got
PR.
like 0.2% to Joe Biden's 5.3%. Is that can't be right? That's not the right result. Joe Biden won. I don't know how these things work. So Joe Biden, it says he won, but he got fewer votes than Dean Phillips. I don't know how this works. Do you have any insight, Dave?
I really don't. This is the first time I've seen this little graphic here. Those are called super delegates, my friend. Those are each worth a lot. He got lots of super delegates. I don't know.
But you did point out the idea of a shakeup candidate, like say a Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a Joe Exotic, or even a Vermin Supreme. Which, for those that don't know, I come from a Vermin Supreme background and got into politics because of working on the Vermin Supreme campaign. Not always the most proud moment of my life, but it was a good time. And I still have lots of thoughts on the guy. And the fact that he was trending last night filled me with joy. Despite any differences we may have, there's a part of me that enjoyed hearing the GOP endorse Vermin Supreme as a Democratic candidate.
And Chairman Ager, there's a lot less activity on the Democratic side. Do you think either Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson will be able to carve out a result here that makes some trouble for President Joe Biden?
Well, with the right end, it's always problematic, and inspiring people to come and vote for you when you don't show up in a state is difficult. I'm here today to actually endorse Vermin Supreme on the Democratic ballot as the most interesting and entertaining person on the ballot on the Democratic side. So I hope he does well here finally and takes a win into February. But
okay, so that was the GOP chairman saying to vote for Vermin Supreme. Now, this is obviously like kind of a joke because he's saying that the Democrats should vote for Vermin Supreme. They should throw their vote away because, they're the opposing party. He's going to say, yeah, vote for the least credible person. However, it's a fun clip, certainly. And for all of the disagreements that I have with Vermin Supreme in how he's treated a lot of libertarians over the last couple of years, and even for the people who say he's whatever, commie, whatever, socialist, whatever you want to put on him. If same as Joe Exotic, if you are fucking with the Democrats, like I love a Vermin Supreme who is calling out Sleepy Joe much more than even Donald Trump. Like, sure, call out Donald Trump, but if you're just an anti-Trump guy, then it's not any more interesting than CNN. But if you're running on the Democratic ticket and you're calling out Joe Biden, we are allies, as you folk might say, and fellow travelers, as some might say. I don't know, like Vermin Supreme's chaos nature and just trolling the shit out of these things. I am all for it, and I was all for it even in as the LP candidate. As far as he could troll the entire system, I was down. And then having the beef with, I don't know, Libertarian Party and Mises Caucus people was just like, ugh, who cares? And, just being straight, just only being anti-Trump, I don't find interesting. But this, I'm all for it, and I applaud him for going out and doing his thing, getting back to basics, and giving Joe Biden a run for his money, the current sitting president. More of a run for his money than most people, but here he is. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene on the War Room, and see if you notice any cameos.
You got a pretty good feel for things. Give us your sense of what's going on out there in the field.
Well, I think New Hampshire is going to show the country that we are going to elect President Trump in this primary. And tonight, the primary is officially
To the audio
over for
listener,
Nikki Haley.
right behind
Whether
Marjorie Taylor
she's
Greene's
ready
head,
to admit it or
Vermin Supreme is flashing his nipple from outside the window and waving, giving peace signs, and laughing. Regardless of your thoughts on Vermin Supreme or Marjorie Taylor Greene, I support this message entirely. Dave, what do you think as an avid never vermin fellow? What's your take on this?
Yeah, just I'm a stickler for words. So I wasn't a never vermin guy. For the record, I was very friendly to that dude and that energy that he brought into the party. It wasn't until I saw him go after good libertarians within the party and use that powerful kind of trolling chaos energy inside of the party, and that he wasn't a knowledgeable libertarian and was quite careless actually sometimes. Some called it communistic or whatever. I don't care. But I do like that energy, and this is like you, I appreciate it when he focuses it on the regime. That's my only ask of Vermin Supreme. I would donate time, energy, and money if I could to Vermin Supreme if he focused all of that on the regime. And that could be the Republican Party, it could be the Democratic Party, but don't do that in here, man, while we're trying to build something. That was my only gripe,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool. I would watch more of that. He's kind of like the Nikki Haley of the other party. Like it bodes well for the opposition party to go, yeah, support that person.
That's high praise, I think. And again, I wouldn't care. I have no problem with him trolling Donald Trump either. I have no problem with him trolling all of them equally, even to the point of trolling the Libertarian Party a little bit, because I do that myself a little bit. When he was working within the party, it was more of he took off the boot for debates, and he was respectful, and the idea was to make him the nominee so that he could fight. The media would have to cover third-party presidential candidate Vermin Supreme trying to get on the debate stage. Would have just been absolutely beautiful troll, in which case he would have been trolling the Democrats and the Republicans, which I think the Libertarian Party should do more of. Now, when he focused his anger on the Libertarian Party, it was less of a troll as much as it was a virtue signal, it felt like. I have no problem with him trolling even Donald Trump, and here he is trolling Donald Trump's son, whose name I don't remember. Eric? Is it Eric?
Actually, Donald. His son, Donald Trump's son's
I think
name is
they're
Donald.
both there. This is.
Are they both here?
Yeah, Eric.
Oh,
Trump's
yeah,
security.
Eric. Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for the photo. You get the photo?
I'm also perfectly fine with him. I think, if I'm understanding this correctly, he did this at a DeSantis gathering. I could be wrong.
Free! Party! Free! Party! When I say zombie, you say power! Zombie! Power! Zombie! Power! Zombie! Power! When I say free, when I say time, you say travel! Time! Time!
So the same old thing as always, but disrupting the right folks, and I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I think those people were even having a good time. I think that was a DeSantis rally, and those people were none the wiser. And he'll be out of their life tomorrow, so
yeah,
nothing to worry about.
Yep, just like Ron DeSantis. Now, back to the GOP primary. The final results came in, and they came in pretty quickly. Donald Trump did win. He won with less of a clear margin than he did last time, beating Nikki Haley by only around 10 points, which was surprising given the fact that last time there was Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis, whose crossover section of followers would make more sense to go to Donald Trump if they happen to, I don't know, drop out and endorse Donald Trump. But apparently we're supposed to believe that all of Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy supporters dropped out and they just went on over and endorsed Nikki Haley. You buying it, Dave?
Well, I saw a little pie chart earlier. I'll probably get some of these a little wrong, but New Hampshire has an open primary. So
yep.
What I heard is that less than half of the people that voted in that Republican primary were Republicans. The vast majority were independents. It was like 8%. There it is. There's my pie chart there.
There it is.
8%. Yep. So that says a lot.
Yeah, and I did not know this going into it, which I'm a little torn. It seems rigged and fake. Like, as the numbers were coming in, Nikki Haley was way too close for me to believe any of it. I was just like, something is up here. There's something that I'm not understanding. There's something that I'm missing, because there is no fucking way Nikki fucking Haley is even close to Donald Trump with the endorsement of Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy. But she was right there, shoulder and neck. Not really neck and neck. It was really more of like a midsection and neck, just still closer than I was expecting her to be. And then MSNBC and CNN come out and they're basically bragging about how it was done, which, as you mentioned, there's an open primary, so Democrats can go vote for Republicans and vice versa. Now, do you know, is it where they can only vote in either the Democrat or the Republican one, or can they vote in both?
No, I believe just one.
Well,
you vote once.
Even still, their guy was not on the ballot if they're pushing for Joe Biden, so they would have a lot more reason to push for Nikki Haley, and it became very clear as to why. And we'll get to more of that in just a minute. But here is MSNBC talking about the strange vote tallies here, where a whole lot of Republicans voted for Donald Trump, but all the Democrats, who for some reason voted in the Republican primary, and all the independents seem to lean toward Nikki Haley. Here's that.
We asked folks coming into the polls, do you identify as a Republican? Do you identify as a Democrat? Or do you identify as an independent? And here's what we found in this exit poll so far. And I think this jumps right out at you. A minority of voters in this first wave of the exit poll in the Republican primary identify as Republicans. A majority, 53%, identify as either independents, 45%, or, and this is a high number historically, 8% identify as Democrats. For some context here, in 2016, the last competitive Republican presidential primary in New Hampshire, the electorate was 55% Republican. It was 42% independent, and it was 3% Democratic. So in this initial wave, you're seeing some significant differences.
So what we're looking at here is there was about the same amount of independents as before, but the Democrats went from 3% to 8% for the first time ever. And again, this is after robot Joe Biden told everybody stay home. And it's just, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, this is shady. And there's a part of me that respects the hustle for Democrats to see that obviously they keep saying, like, Nikki Haley keeps saying, the only person that could beat Joe Biden is me. Donald Trump couldn't even come close to beating Joe Biden, which is clearly laughable just based off statistics of any kind. But everybody knows that everyone hates Nikki Haley. And there's something that I respect about the Democrats getting together and saying, we're going to vote because it's legal, we're going to vote for the really bad Republican candidate to make sure that we win. I don't know, Dave. What do you think? Is it commendable or is it rigging? I think it's a little bit of both.
Actually, yeah, I kind of agree. And I want to tie it, if I could, to a little Libertarian Party story that's happening simultaneously in my life, and it reminds me of the same thing, right?
Sure.
And it should be noted that I just finished Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals for the second time. I re-upped on that. So you should check that out to understand the nature of power in politics, right? In a nonpartisan kind of way. But The LP, if you guys don't know, there's a Free and Equal Elections is putting on a televised debate. And they're going to take the top 6 people who vote. You got to put in your phone number so they're trying to cut down on, people voting multiple times.
Yeah.
And they're going to take the top 6 entries. Robert F. Kennedy is going to be there. I think Jill Stein was, invited at least. She'll probably be there. And there's a bunch of libertarians, obviously, that want that spot. So at the top of the
Who's
list,
putting this on?
Free and Equal Elections. Guys, by the way, go there and go to freeandequal.com and vote for your favorite libertarian. They do ranked choice, so you can pick a couple if you want. But
Or your favorite candidate. It's fine.
Exactly.
Joe Exotic 2024.
I think he's on the list, bro. He won't be there, obviously, but he's on there. You could vote for him.
Yeah.
But my point is that at the very top of the list, the number 1 spot is held by Chase Oliver, which might strike you as, okay, that sounds weird because I don't think most people, like RFK is below him, Nikki Haley, Donald Trump, all the other libertarians, Chase Oliver, I think 8,000 plus votes on this thing. So somebody got a screenshot of like somebody in his chat encouraging people to go sign up for Google Voice. Because if you sign up for Google Voice, then you have 2 phone numbers. You can vote twice.
Yep.
You can at least double your efforts, right?
Yep.
And they were bitching about that in our group chat. Oh, look what they're doing, blah, 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 this sucks. And I was like,
why?
No.
Because they thought of it first?
Well, I mean, do you guys understand the nature of power in politics?
Right.
Do you not? Are you? Look, Chase Oliver came to win. So anything within the NAP, right, is up for grabs. If you're not doing it, or you're going to condemn it as like, oh, like that's not moral or something like that. Is it against the rules? Because if it's against the rules, I'll call Christina Tobin at Free and Equal right now and tell them to remove the number 1 pick. I don't give a fuck. I don't want Chase
Kinda
Oliver
like
to represent
Democrats ballot harvesting. It's like Republicans can bitch about it, or they can go do it. Go play
Right.
the game
So
if you want to play the game.
Exactly. I'm seeing all these conservatives and, people on Twitter today bitching about, how the liberals cheat and they do this and that to win. It's like, those are the rules.
Right.
The rules state that Democrats can go vote. So if you didn't square that away,
Right.
you lost, man. That's how the game is played. If you're expecting somebody to be moral or that's not above.
You're in the wrong game for morality.
You are get out of here. It makes you look retarded, not them. You know what I mean? Play the game or shut up.
Now, I do think it's funny, though, that, whether you look at it as the Democrats rigging it for Nikki Haley or Nikki Haley pushing, who knows? Nikki Haley might have been begging Democrats to come vote for her because she'd have nothing to lose in doing so. But even if you think that it's fake or rigged or unfair, Donald Trump still fucking won. No matter how much they cheated or didn't cheat or played the game or didn't play the game, he still won. And it was with a majority not Republicans. Like there were more Democrats and independents than there were Republicans voting, and he still won. So tell me that Nikki Haley is still currently there for any reason other than to be the regime fallout for if they can pull off this Donald Trump arrest or what have you. Because aside from an arrest, there's not going to be anything that stops this. Her numbers aren't going to keep increasing just because they went up from Iowa to New Hampshire. Not every state has these loopholes or these rules or these games that you can play. South Carolina, that is Nikki Haley's place, is coming up, and I kind of hope she stays in until she gets her ass handed to her in her own state, because that would be a glorious day. But not even as a Trump supporter do I say that, but as a avid Nikki Hillary hater, I say, please, sure, keep going. And once again, find me one Nikki Haley supporter out there who's not a Democrat, and I'll find you a liar. But I don't know. There's something. If you think that Donald Trump's going to be any sort of a net positive over Joe Biden or Nikki Haley, then they're on that note, which I do believe he would be. This is really good. This is really good that even with the underhanded politicsing here, Donald Trump still laid her out by 10 points, which is no small feat. It's record-breaking. He's the first president ever to win in New Hampshire 3 times in a row. Sure, he wasn't president every time, but historically, if you win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, you're going to win. And he won them both handedly, no matter what they tried. So if you're a Trump supporter, don't worry too much. I mean, maybe worry enough to go out and play the game a little bit harder. But yeah, it seems like this isn't going anywhere unless they pull some legal action here that actually sticks.
Yeah, no, I think that you're pretty dead on with the fact she's the reserve one. And if this, as DeSantis said earlier, if like he knows he's operating in the quote unquote free market of this shit, right? He's out of money and he doesn't have any more support and there's no path to victory. Yeah. She knows that same shit too, except she's got all of the military industrial complex behind her. So there's a magic horn of plenty that just keeps cranking out money forever. So of course she'll stay in. And she'll do whatever it takes too. She'll say whatever it takes, and she's a sociopath. She's already, earned her stripes with the UN. And here we go. What's this?
Take a look.
Lest you think it was only MSNBC who was calling out these crazy conspiracy theories. Here's CNN reporting on the same.
At the numbers, among Trump voters, 70% of them, according to our exit polls, are registered Republicans. Donald Trump, his support, 27% of his voters are registered undeclared or independents. 3% were unregistered before today. Look at how that compares with Nikki Haley. It's a complete reversal. It's an alternate universe. Among Haley voters, 70% are registered undeclared. Only 27% are registered Republicans.
Wow. I mean, that sounds great if you're a Democrat. All the undeclared and not Republicans voted for Nikki Haley, or like a large majority. More people who were not Republicans voted for Nikki Haley than registered Republicans. So, yeah, the clear choice for the GOP is picked by everybody but the GOP. Nothing shady to see there.
Yeah, exactly. Like New Hampshire, I know you're the free state and all, free state in the union, but we have to at least entertain the possibility that the regime uses your state as a ground zero to set the stage for the rest of the country, because it's the most easy to corrupt. I'm only Delaware is a cesspool, a corrupt cesspool, but they're not stupid enough to let Democrats vote in the Republican primary. Right. You know what I mean? What's the point of having your club?
In an entry survey, they're like, "Are you a registered Republican?" "No, I'm a Democrat." "Okay, well, get out of here. What are you doing?" Like,
yeah,
that's what
get
the
out of my
response
house,
should
bro.
be. Leave.
Yeah. That's the only way.
Yep.
Now we got an independent state of mind. Well, yeah, you're fucking it up for everybody else.
Now imagine, let's say, like, I don't know, the Libertarian Party presidential candidates are like let's say Michael Rechtenwald, Josh Smith, Mike Termott, Chase Oliver, and Bill Weld. And we're so free and open with our elections that we hold our primary and we allow just anybody to come, and 70% of Democrats come in and they vote for Bill Weld, and we're supposed to just go, well, that's how the system works. Yeah, Bill Weld's our candidate now. Sorry. Thank you, Democrats, for...
That's the free market.
That's
you
right.
Enjoy it?
It's a private party, bro. Now, here is... we're just going to keep cementing this fact here that New Hampshire... that the only reason Nikki Haley even came a fraction close to Donald Trump, anywhere within, like, throwing distance of Donald Trump, is because of people like this guy.
Nikki Haley.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in a general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
So... thank you for saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty, bro.
Yes. Democrats are voting for Nikki Haley in the primary because they know that Joe Biden can beat Nikki Haley, and they have every intention of voting Joe Biden as soon as they're done. They voted for Nikki Haley because they want Joe Biden to beat Donald Trump. That is all. And it's still not because he supports Joe Biden. It's because Donald Trump is just this scary, evil dictator, as we all know. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Congratulations to New Hampshire for providing ranked choice voting for that douchebag to be, on behalf of the rest of the country.
Yep.
public perception is everything, dude. So, this Iowa caucus means a lot. You come out, oh, who's the winner of the Iowa caucus? It's just like, why? Because a couple thousand assholes in Iowa decided something. It's like, but once you say that, it's like, oh, the winner of that, you got the momentum, or like, oh, you got momentum coming out of here, but it's all fucking staged. It's all theater, and they can. I mean, you're right. It's encouraging that Trump was so strong that they couldn't outdo it. But yeah, you're right. She would have been polling if it was just Republicans at what, 5%, 8%? I don't know. Not that. That's not what they want. It's not fair.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, ranked choice voting gets us such gems as Nikki Haley and Joe Jorgensen, so maybe it's not the best solution to the voting problem. But fake super chat from Kate Paris says, reverse Tulsi Gabbard. Yes, that kind of feels that way. Fake super chat from Hannah Forseen. I overheard a boomer Dem shouting about it being illegal for Republicans to go to Democrat houses. Their ground game has been so bad, Dems literally believe it's illegal to door knock. So bad, Dems believe it's? I don't think it's Dems. I think it's Republicans that think it's illegal to door knock. Yeah, Republicans are scared to play the game. They see how quote-unquote corrupt the Democrats are, and they're just... I don't know if it's that they're scared to do the same. I think they're just lazy, and that goes for a lot of libertarians too. But I don't door knock either, so fuck them all. It's all staged and rigged, and I'm not wasting my time. But Chris O says, fake super chat, can't criticize the strategy. Texas has open primary. In 2020, I selected D ballot to vote Tulsi. Not that I would have voted that way in general. I can criticize thinking Nikki is the better. I can criticize thinking Nikki is the better. Of course. Nikki's not better than anybody except for maybe Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris. And as we all know, they're all black.
I still have a problem with that, with the open primary strategy. I changed my voter registration so that I could support Tulsi in 2020.
Yeah.
And I could still be a member of the Libertarian Party here and, become a voting member while I'm a Democrat.
As long as it's a thing, I support people doing it. Frankly, play the game. I don't think it should be a thing, but as long as it's a thing, go for it. If you play that game.
Let me be clear. Yeah, that guy, the douchebag who was just like completely honest with us and said, I just totally voted for Nikki Haley because I hate Trump and I'd rather have Biden. But yeah, I don't blame that guy one bit.
Yeah.
That is not his fault. It just sucks that the system is cut out to serve him. That sucks.
True. Yeah. Now, we have to play... once again, Nikki Haley lost, and once again, she came out and gave her acceptance speech as the new president of the United States, or something to that effect. Here's Nikki Haley accepting that she, again, lost miserably.
And the question is,
silly woman,
who's going to fix it?
Fix it, like rig it, like the fix is in type deal? Is that what we're talking about? The real question is, who's going to fix it? Wink, wink. Thank you, all of the sea of Democrats in this small room.
With Donald Trump, Republicans have lost almost every competitive election. We lost the Senate. We lost the House.
Fair.
We lost the White House. We lost in 2018. We lost in 2020. And we lost in 2022.
Sure.
The worst kept secret in politics
is that Democrats rig it in favor of people like Nikki Haley.
How badly the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump.
The most obvious thing in politics is that the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump. This is the most gaslighting stretch of the imagination that I have heard in a failure speech. It is absolutely remarkable.
They know Trump is the only Republican in the country who Joe Biden can defeat.
Fuck, dude.
Who the fuck in the entire world believes that sentence, that Donald Trump is the only Republican in the country that Joe Biden can defeat? The guy that just smoked her in this primary is the only guy that Joe Biden can defeat.
Y'all motherfuckers is lucky that Tim Scott stepped down because he would be up here and he would bitch slap Trump's ass.
I'll take it, Tim Scott. I don't care. Like, over Nikki Haley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Also, I don't have it pulled up here, but Donald Trump gave a speech last night, and Tim Scott and Vivek were standing behind him, and he was like, "Oh, Tim Scott, come up here and say a word. Come up here and say a word." And he did. And I don't know. Do you think back to VP discussion? Obviously, I would imagine Nikki Haley is out. I would certainly fucking hope at this point. But Tim Scott, any thought?
I think Tim Scott's doing everything in his power to be considered for any kind of cabinet position, up into including marrying a woman.
All in.
But no, I don't think that he's going to get the vice presidential pick.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be Vivek, and I don't think that Nikki Haley is off the table because I think Trump will do whatever it takes and whatever. I think he's still on that spot. I don't think she said anything that would disqualify her. And I think, by the way, Ron DeSantis.
She hasn't said anything like Donald Trump is the only Republican in the country that Joe Biden can't beat. That's not enough. Like the lowest of the low vote. Like Joe Blow down the road who has a MAGA hat could beat Joe Biden in an election, but Donald Trump is just completely incapable.
What she won't ever say is that he should have fired Fauci. He brought on Operation Warp Speed. He's a globalist. He went to Davos. She won't say any of that shit.
All the wrong criticisms. That's why she has to stick with Donald Trump is mentally incompetent and just scared of debating me. Anyway, let's let this woman speak some more.
You can't fix the mess if you don't win an election. A Trump nomination.
Like it sounds like a very small crowd when there's like one guy who's like, he's a loser. We want to win. Like they sound like canned. Like what would an anti-Trump guy say? We want to win. Like it sounds fake. All of it sounds fake.
It's a Biden win and a Kamala Harris presidency.
Dump Trump in all the other bumper stickers. Yes, good job.
I don't know about you guys, but I want to dump Trump.
This orange guy isn't doing very well.
Handily.
What'd she say?
I defeat Biden handily.
You didn't defeat the guy that you just said is the only guy who couldn't defeat Trump. You lost to him in your own party with all the Democrat support. But you can beat Joe Biden handedly. He beat you in a write-in election, and Donald Trump beat you. Like, what are you even talking about at this point? What evidence do you have that you can do anything? You beat the guy that is the worst, you say.
The evidence is, bro.
Or no, you lost to the guy who you say is the worst.
But what she is doing is being a perfect puppet for the regime. And she, like the rest of these sociopaths, she's really good at lying with a smile on her face. Confident lying. Like, you're right. It's gaslighting, it's all this shit. But like, before that term was like, in popular culture, it just, you get up and after you lost and you say you win.
Yeah.
You need somebody who can do that.
Well, after the Iowa one, we didn't cover this, but after the Iowa one, in her speech, she was like, this is now clearly down to a 2-person race. While Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump were still in, and she was kind of neck and neck with Ron DeSantis, it's down to a 2-person race. Okay,
bro, and just like those fucking animals in the crowd for Biden, as soon as the sentence is over, these people, as soon as she's done, and then
it's the same people,
Washington.
It's the same crowd.
Yeah, exactly. They're just, little puppets.
Woo!
We
want you, Nikki.
You're my number one choice, Nikki.
It's like cartoonish responses.
Trump, you have one bout of chaos after another.
Show
this court case, that controversy, this tweet.
Oh, what happened? Dave, you ruined it with your belligerent Let's see.
I didn't mean it. I don't have any buttons. I couldn't have possibly done that.
That senior court case, that controversy, this tweet, that senior moment. You can't fix Joe Biden's chaos with Republican chaos.
So this is what she's going with. Like she can't attack him on COVID or war or anything that you just said. So she's going with, you are mentally incompetent. You are just as bad as Joe Biden. Yeah. Okay.
The other day, Donald Trump accused me of not providing security at the Capitol on January 6th.
Now, that is true. And people seem to think that he mixed her up with Nancy Pelosi.
That would be cool.
I mean, I think that's more of an insult to you than it is to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And if Donald Trump is not clearly mentally fit to be president, sure, so be it. I'm fine with that if you want to make that argument. But making that argument while Joe Biden is president and while we're accepting him as a fierce competitor, I can't. If we're talking compare the two, it's not even within the same ballpark of mental stability. Even if Donald Trump went on a murdering rampage tomorrow, he's still more mentally stable to be the president than Joe Biden is, because Joe Biden's just not with us at the moment.
Right. Like if he did commit that murder and then tried to get off on insanity, I would go, no. You can't give it that to him. But I would say that for Biden. Oh, yeah, Biden? Sure. Of course.
Yeah, clearly he didn't have his mental faculties there. Geriatric.
Yes, they are old.
It's
amazing.
It's
this
like
is great, dude.
Yeah, it sounds like scripted. Like you're gonna say this, and then one person's gonna yell out, "Screw that guy! He's old. You're really good." Like it sounds like it was written by Disney as a political script and response.
I've long called for mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75.
Oh, there's a new concept that Donald Trump definitely hasn't used on his own.
Trump claims he'd do...
Hold on. Now I'm more interested in what the people have to say in the audience, because I don't believe they're real. So I'm going to listen to that again.
Trump claims...
Politicians what? I'm pretty sure that was politicians that don't wear Depends.
Don't wear Depends?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
That's what we're going
Good
with.
Call.
Trump claims he'd do better than me in one of those tests. Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. But if he...
Hold on. Trump? Okay. So he's clearly not mentally fit to be president, and I've asked him to take a test to compare wits, and he says that he would beat me. Maybe he would is not the next sentence that should be out of your mouth. That shouldn't even be an option if you're making this clear-cut case for why he's not fit to be president. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. So maybe he is smarter than me, even though he's clearly mentally ill, as I've tried to say. All right, now let's hear the follow-up.
Thinks that, then he should have no problem standing on a debate stage with me.
That's it. That's why he doesn't want to debate the person that he just defeated without even fucking showing up. It's because he's scared. He's scared of you. That's why he just beat you by doing nothing. He beat you by doing nothing. He's not scared of you. He nothings you because you're nothing to him. Dave, your thoughts?
I hope. Yeah, I mean, it is really pathetic. But it's funny, like, the level of discourse that we've gotten. Like, you're right, he didn't even show up. He's not even, like, really talking about her. But her whole basic pitch there was, like, old and busted, new hotness. I am young. Right. Yep. Like, look at me. I am not 70.
I'm a little brown girl, and he's an old orange man.
Right. That's pretty bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off or if that.
Yep. You're a racist just like Trump. No, I'm not. I'm black. Well, you're not fit to be president. Well, the guy who just beat me is the least fit to be president. Well, wait a second. Like, I don't know how you can spin this in a way that it makes you sound good when you just lost again. And we all know now that you had all the support from the other side and the independents. You had all that support that got you anywhere near, but still 10 points off from the guy that is the only Republican in the country that could not beat Joe Biden in an election. So what do you have to offer exactly?
I think that Nikki Haley would have handily beat Donald Trump if she were a white girl.
It's discrimination.
It's the racists in New Hampshire. They're 99% white, and they just weren't feeling her POC-ness.
Yeah.
Too much person of color for them.
They got,
not feeling it.
Don't
Too
put
urban.
their hands on that POC-ness.
You've got too much of an urban vibe for us.
It's too soon. We had a black guy. We're not ready for a clearly brown woman yet. And it's because of racism. I'm sure we'll say racism and misogyny. That's why we don't like this witch of a woman. Yeah. So, where do you think this goes? Do you think our first woman of color president is going to be? I mean, it's already been Kamala Harris that one time that Joe Biden went out for a colonoscopy and she had to be the sitting president for a second. I don't know why the media keeps glossing over that. The time that the president had his butt scooped and our first woman president, not only woman, but woman of color president was a thing and should be in the history books forever. Do you think the first woman of color president that will be documented in history books will be the very, very brown girl, Nikki Haley?
Bro, I can't believe sisters across the country already aren't up in arms over this bitch calling herself a brown girl. Can you imagine if she got elected? Well, not that, like then she'd have Nikki.
Yeah,
Nikki, the brown girl.
Nimarata
Nikki?
Is, I think, her real name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which she's apparently ashamed to use and goes with the very white Nikki. But anyway.
Oh, just like
and
AOC
Haley
too.
Haley is another white girl first name. She's got two white girl first names and is pretending to be brown.
Bro, there's a common denominator here too. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went by Sandy the majority of her life because she was surrounded by white people and lived a white life in her rich, upper class Brooklyn spot where she made $500 a night serving Manhattans and stuff. Like these are not,
Mm-hmm.
It's all a facade when you need it to be. Like when Nikki Haley needed to be Caucasian, I'm sure that she went to great lengths to make sure that
I had
knew
no
that
idea that she was of Indian descent until this interview. I knew that she had a different first name, but I had no idea that she wasn't just white bitch Nikki Haley.
Yeah, she looks like crafted at the white lady store. White lady.
It's like Build-A-Bear. You walk into Build-A-Bear and you're like, I want basic white bitch. And they're like, here's Nikki Haley. And she's clearly the best choice for president because she said she was every time she fucking lost miserably to Donald Trump.
Yeah. And at this point, what kind of people would we be if we wouldn't elevate this person of color who was bullied for being brown every day of her life? Exactly. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, where do you think this goes? There's been speculation, like Roger Stone was on Timcast the other night, and he was speculating that they're going to trot out Michelle Obama at some point, which would be certainly a shakeup, but it would be a big shakeup because then we'd be debating between a black female president or a clearly brown female president. Which one of these is debatable whether they're brown and the other is debatable whether they're female. So, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up there. I lean towards the Democrats are just like at a complete loss at this point, and they're like, let's get Nikki Haley in there. So it's either Biden or Nikki. In either way, we win because we have an elitist piece of shit as our puppet that will say whatever we need them to say, go into whatever war we need them to go into, and lock up whoever we say to lock up. That's where I lean, which might be a little too simple. Do you think that they're going to bring out a Gavin Newsom or a Michelle Obama or anything like that?
I think they'll do whatever it takes. And I just saw that they're bringing out Jon Stewart is coming back one night a week to host the Daily Show between now and election.
Oh,
that means
bringing out the big guns.
The big
desperation
guns, bro.
Thy name is Jon Stewart.
You know how desperate they have to be to bring out, they just got done testing all these different people, all kinds of wonderful people of color, so much diversity, but they have to go back to the cis white male because that's who will deliver the fucking thing.
This
All
is
right,
your
everybody-
bed that you have made, and you have to lay in it because you got a old white dude who can barely speak because you were so fucking desperate, and then you put, because he just spouted off one day, it's definitely gonna be a woman of color as my vice presidential pick, and then it was, and they're like, I guess we're gonna go with Kamala Harris. Now you guys have to you have to lay in that bed and figure out your way to get out of it because, race, gender, everything aside, your next option has to be Kamala Harris, or you're a fucking racist, misogynist piece of shit. So eat it up and deal with your choices.
Yeah. And if you don't toe the line, they'll do to you, Nikki Haley, person of color, just like what they did to Tulsi Gabbard. They were grooming her to be the next woman of color who would,
which is equally laughable.
She was in charge of the DNC.
Was she?
Tulsi Gabbard, yes. Yeah, give that a Google. I mean, they were, I think, they wanted her to be their, next person. And she went after Hillary Clinton and the warmongers, too much. So now you're a Russian agent. So Nikki Haley, you better toe that line, do exactly what they say, do exactly what the, Lincoln Project, Never Trumper, Rhino, Democrat, Obama industrial complex wants you to do.
And especially
so
the Patriot Front. Their vote is the one that matters. And I'm sure you've got their full-throated endorsement. All right, Dave, it's been fun, and I know you got to leave in about a half hour, and I need your brain a little bit for the after party, so we got to jump out of here, and it's all Dave's fault. We can pontificate more in the aftermath, but go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/The System Is Down, at patriotfront.com /The System Is Down.
Send $5 to patriotfront.com right now.
If that exists, don't, but if it doesn't, go make it a thing. Patriotfront.com /The System Is Down. Just do it for the fun of it. But Dave, where can people find you? And any final thoughts you got? Anything you want to plug before we jump over behind the paywall at patriotfront.com /The System Is Down? What do you got to say?
Yeah, you can find me, Dave versus Goliath, on all the stuff: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And tonight, Wreck the Regime, my boy Michael Rechtenwald is going to be on the best damn political show. That's Luke Rudowski and Clint's show. So he's in studio. He's in Miami tonight, hanging out with those dudes. Not sure exactly what time. So check out Rec and support. Go to the Free and Equal site too and vote for some libertarians, man. I want to see
Clint announced VP running. Is that?
We didn't even talk about that. Huge, yeah. That's a thing.
Well, until I have more information, that's all about the coverage that it requires. Clint Russell is running for Libertarian VP. Any news on who he might be running with?
I think Clint's playing it safe. He's got the spot right now. He's like, whenever you guys select somebody, just holler, and I'll be right here in the wings. That's
the way to do it. Sorry, I cut you off, but go ahead.
No, that's So yeah, go support those guys, and that is exciting. And but Free and Equal, that's a cool debate. It will be televised, be across platforms and across parties and stuff like that. Probably no Democrats or Republicans, if I have to guess. But Free and Equal is a really cool nonpartisan nonprofit. It's been around for like 15, 16 years. And the person who runs that, she's great, Christina Tobin. She's not a libertarian, but she's been really good to libertarians. And I think she just wants to see election reform. So it's cool. I'd like to see
she
a
wants to
debate
see elections again.
Make
elections exist again.
She's in favor of basic democratic principles. She's one of those good lefties. So go support them and go vote for some libertarians and follow me on all the stuff.
Right on. And to all of you, go out and don't trust the AI robots. Whoever's using them, don't trust them. Be it Joe Biden, be it Javier Milei, or be it just brown girl Nikki Haley. She just seems a little something seems a little off there. Maybe she's a lizard person. Maybe she's a Democrat. Either way, it's the same thing. Thank you all for being here. Go vote your conscience, which at this point should probably be to stay home, as Joe Biden would encourage you to do. And keep an eye on all the things, and we will try to do the same, and we'll try to be back here, same bad time, same bad station next week. And thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out in the chats. Until then, question everything, stay uncomfortable, be bad,
have fun, and don't trust these motherfuckers. See you in the after party. Peace.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.